On July 24th, 1984, a woman and her infant daughter were murdered by two brothers who believed they were ordered to kill by God. The roots of their crime lie deep in the history of an American religion practiced by millions.
I came home from work at around 8. I called for Brenda and received no reply. I touched her. Her body felt cold. There was blood on her face and pretty much everywhere. In that moment, I knew that my brothers were responsible.
Do I feel remorseful? No. I knew what I had to do. My brother Ron received a revelation from God in which he instructed that I would be the one to take the mother and child out of this world. You don't want to offend him by refusing to do his work. My idol Joseph Smith felt very strongly about that.
In 1823, Joseph Smith was approached by the angel Moroni, who claimed to be sent by God himself. Now, Moroni preached about some kind of ancient sacred text that was printed on solid gold plates on some nearby hillside 1400 years ago. Now, Smith was able to translate the texts into a 588-page piece called the Book of Mormon. This became the fundamental scripture for the LDS, of the Church of Latter-day Saints, or Mormonism. Now, Smith, after this, received a revelation about polygamy, which basically means that he could marry as many wives as he wanted to. Now, a lot of the people in the church thought that this was wrong and disgraceful, and it divided the church into two different sects, basically creating Mormon fundamentalism.
Wow! We, the Latter-day Saints, God's chosen people, must overcome the oppression that we face and emigrate to the promised land, the Zion that we have been foretold.
Alright, so here's the story. I was married for 24 years to a beautiful woman, love of my life. Or so I thought. Until I decided polygamy, that's the way to go. So after 24 years of marriage, I decided to ditch the old wife and take multiple wives. The original wife, she wasn't too happy about it. Me, on the other hand, I had more than one wife. I was thrilled. So then after that, one night my Lord came to me, and he told me, little old me, that I was the next prophet before the return of Jesus Christ. He told me that the return of Jesus Christ would come from my virgin daughter's womb and my pure seed. So on each one of my daughter's 12th birthdays, I take him on as a wife, and I plant my pure seed. We haven't exactly seen much luck yet, but one day, he's sure to come.
When I was 2 years old, my father and I moved to a fundamentalist town, and in this town, sexual intercourse between anyone who was unmarried was strictly forbidden. Well, when I was 4 years old, a boy only 7 years older than I, in a very disturbing fashion, sexually harassed and assaulted me. When I was 6 years old, a man from my father's religious group took me out into a car and told me he was going to teach me how to drive. Instead, at 6 years old, he also sexually harassed me. When I was 14 years old, I became Roy Blackmore's sixth wife. Then a few years later, I was married to Sam Ralston and then Michael Palmer. Michael started abusing me and molesting my children. Well, one day, I lit the house on fire and I loaded my 5 children and some of our belongings into an old car, and I drove the hell out of that town.
How'd I end up here? It's kind of funny, actually. After being on the run for a few weeks, my brother and I ran into a few FBI agents. A few moments later, a swarm of them came rushing up behind us. They put guns to our head and said, "Don't move or we'll blow your brains out." I just smiled. It was kind of funny.
Now, I do not hate the Mormon church. A lot of my forebears were foundational in creating the entire church itself in the early days, but there's a lot of problems with it. There's a lot of things that I do not agree with that they're doing. The extremists, the fundamentalists, they always go to extremes. Why do they have to have these beliefs? Why do we have to be so divided? It breaks my heart.
Under the Banner of Heaven, a story of violent faith by John Krakauer.